From Enchanted Vines, and I'm here because I got a very special package in the mail today. I got my hot pink Surebonder glue skillet. So I do already have one of these. This is like their original color. As you can see, he's a mess. He still works perfect. Like, there's nothing wrong with him whatsoever. I just really need to clean him up. And then I happened to be on the Surebonder website when this little lady just caught my eye. So I think she's going to look beautiful on my workbench. So I figured I will get her going. So I'm going to move this guy out of the way. Actually, put him over here. My daughter named him Glanthony. I don't know why. I think it had to do with a combo of being glue and Anthony. I don't know. Okay, so let's open this together, shall we? So this says it is kind of like a collaboration with Grace Monroe Home. I don't know. I have to look up what that is, but oh my gosh, how cute is she? Oh, love her. Okay, so in addition to the skillet, this one came with little drumsticks. No, it is, I think, to stir it. I never read directions, so I'm not going to start now. But let's get her cooking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug her in, and then we'll get our glue pellets in. Okay. So for these glue skillets, one, I always set mine on the lowest just so it doesn't smoke. Okay. And then I use, Surebonder makes their own glue pellets. So I love these. I get these off of Amazon doing like a subscribe and save, but you can also just order directly from the Surebonder website. So I did check to see if the pink Surebonder skillet was on Amazon, and it's not. So you have to go directly to Surebonder. So I do have like a link tree set up, and then I'll also link it in the comments in case anybody else is interested. But the best part about these skillets is that it's like hand-free designing. I know a lot of people go with like a 10-inch kitchen skillet, and I used to do that, but they're only good for about a year. So the green one I've had for a few years, and he works just as good as the day I got him. So can't say that about many men, but you can say it about that one. All right. So while she heats up, I figured I'd make a bow. I'm like all about bows today. It is so cold here. I know it's cold in a lot of places, but it's like 10 degrees here, and I'm just not having it. So I've been doing like big bows. I'm in like a big bow mode right now. Sometimes I don't like any bows on things, but right now it's big. All right, so when I'm doing big bows, I use the Easy Bow Maker only because it kind of starts to hurt my hands if I have to like grip the fabric for too long, and then I end up like kind of like loosening it up, and then it all falls apart. So we're gonna use this. We are gonna use this beautiful ribbon. I mean, I think this is like spring, Easter, any of those things. And I got this from Craft Outlet. So I'll tell you a little bit more about Craft Outlet while I work. But I did want to thank, we have some new subscribers. We have Maria, Penny, Pam, Tammy, Sophie, Heather, and Betsy. I had like promised myself I was going to remember all those names, but who am I kidding? Okay, so I want to make sure you can see this. Now, there are people way more qualified than me to teach you how to use these things and make big bows, but mine are kind of on the simpler side. So maybe if you're just like learning, you can learn from me or with me, because I feel like the more I use it, like the better I get at it. So, all right. So this ribbon is so nice. It's nice and thick. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide my first piece over. And this is the part that I could never figure out, or it just didn't click. Then you have to fold it completely upside down, okay? So like the back side is facing you, or like we'll call it the ugly side is facing you. Okay, so I'm gonna start by just doing 5-inch loops. So to do that, see, like it's all marked on here. So I'm going to go 5 inches on this side. And then I kind of flatten mine out because I find that otherwise I'm not measuring that accurately. Is anybody else using the Easy Bow Maker? If so, I'd love to know. I kind of want to get one where it has the spool thing that holds your ribbons so you don't have to keep like messing around with it, but this is still going to do the trick. Okay, so now I've flipped it over and I'm measuring another 5 inches. Okay, and this is the part that you really have to do right, is you have to make sure this twists all the way down. And when you're working with heavier fabrics, it's a little bit harder because it starts to get really bulky here. Okay, so I'm going to make a couple more 5-inch loops. Just give it a hard twist. And as we're doing this, I can see that my glue pellets are starting to melt, so we'll get designing as soon as this bow is done. So 5 inches here. I think these colors are going to pop. I don't know if you saw the ribbon that I used yesterday. It is so, so beautiful and it pops and it is sold out. I am like devastated. I have stocked every website I could find today. I mean, I'm about to like take a trip to Taiwan or wherever it's from. I think it is Taiwan. Yeah. To find it because I love it so much. So I'm hoping it comes back in stock. Craft Outlet had it on sale for, I think it was like only $5. So maybe that's why it sold out. But what I did want to tell people about Craft Outlet is that it's basically like wholesale pricing, but you don't have to be a business. I've had a lot of questions about so much of the product that I use is from Pioneer, but there are other options. And actually, a lot of what we're doing today, I'm going to use Michael's products because they had some like nice things, and I think they're going to look really pretty and natural in a wreath. Okay, so right now I have 6 5-inch loops. Now I'm going to cut it down, not cut it, I'm going to shorten the next couple loops to 4. So I'm going to do a 4-inch loop, a 4-inch loop. And I like having them kind of staggered. Like I want my bow to be big, but I don't want it to like just be totally, totally overwhelming. I say that, but this might turn out that way anyways. So I'm going to make 4 4-inch loops. Okay, so right now we have 10 loops going on here. Feed this through. Okay, now I'm going to cut a tail because I'd like there to be 2 sets of tails on here. Okay, so here we are right now. Okay, we've got 10 loops. I've got them all kind of smushed down, and you can see like the tails, everything's facing upward. Now to make like that button in the middle of a bow, what you're gonna do is start the same way. We're gonna start off on the right side. I want this tail to be shorter, so I'm gonna make this a little shorter. And all we're gonna do is make 1 small loop. I mean, I think it's maybe 2 inches. I always just kind of eyeball it, but that's gonna be kind of like our button. Okay. And then I'm gonna cut this tail. Oh, which is perfect because you know how sometimes there's like that break in the ribbon? The break is literally right here, so that worked out. Okay. Now the tricky part. We are going to, like, while gripping this whole thing, I hope you guys can see this. This is probably not the best. I know, my camera work stinks. Okay, so holding this like really tight, I am going to, actually before I pull it off, I'm just gonna spread these a little bit. Spread these loops side to side. And that way, when I go to secure it with my floral wire, they're already kind of like starting to go in the direction that I want them to. The other thing you can use too are zip ties. Those are good, and that's a fast way to do it. You just got to make sure that you zip tie it like super, super tight, or else it's not going to hold. Okay. All right, so now we've got it spread out. We've got our floral wire, and now is the moment of truth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick these up, and right under my thumb, I'm going to put this floral wire, and you have to make sure that you're putting the wire or the zip tie in between, like basically where those sticks were, because otherwise it's going to all be uneven. All right, so using my wire, which is like 22 gauge floral wire, I'm just going to start twisting. This fabric is so thick, so it could definitely come apart if you don't really put some muscle in it. All right. So if you are watching live, I'd love to know where you're watching from. And finding out, I have like people who are in New England with me, suffering in the cold with me. But it's always just fun to craft with friends. So feel free to ask a question or let us know where you're from. All right, so now I'm going to be fluffing all of these. I'm just putting my hand in them. I'm just stretching my hand out. Yeah, I don't know if this is more Easter or, I mean, Easter and spring are the same, but this is just so cute. All right, so continuing to fluff. Let's see. Oh, it's Connie. Hey, Connie, how are you? So Connie uses the Easy Bow Maker too. Do you have a trick for like the bolt not having to like keep getting flipped around? Because that drives me nuts. Nuts, I say. And we have Travis. Hello. You love Easter. I do too. Buy all that candy for the kids and then you just kind of help yourself if they're not looking. All right. Like I will buy my daughter Cadbury eggs and then eat them. No, I don't feel guilty. Okay, so here's our bow. Okay, and then I always like to finish off the bow with dovetailing it, but we'll do that once it's on the wreath. I think it'll just be easier, okay? Oh, Travis, you're 6? All right, well, I wouldn't steal your candy, I promise. Okay, so now that we've done our ribbon, we're going to go over to our new Surebonder, okay, and it's heating up nicely. So what you want is kind of a consistency of like syrup or honey. All of these pellets are going to end up, are all going to end up melting. Hey, Vicky, thank you. Vicky likes the bow. I appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. It's so fun when I can catch people on lives. All right, so right now I am just cutting up our ficus. All right. So I did have some questions about the ficus with people looking for other options if they can't do wholesale. So for this, Craft Outlet has some nice ficus. I can't remember the price, but it was pretty similar. So I think that they're another good option. Okay. So with the ficus, we have 3 branches, and I'm just going to clip them. Let's see. Clip the 2 side ones. They're the right size. And then the one in the middle, I'm just going to cut in half. And then we're going to just save this little nubbin piece. Okay. Now we're going to prepare our wreath. I did that a little backwards. You probably know that if you've seen me before. But so what we're going to do is when we get our wreaths, they come like a hot mess. This one's nice and round, so that's good. But what we're going to do is we are going to go through, and you can either just use your hands. You guys are going to have like motion sickness from what I'm doing here. You can either use your hands, you can use wire cutters, whatever you want. And we're going to clean off both sides. And the reason why is because if we don't clean off the back side, it can very easily scratch doors. So whether it's for your door or if you're selling and it's for a customer's door, you definitely want to make sure that you're taking every step possible to make sure this isn't going to damage anything. Plus, like some people hang them on mirrors or in their walls, so on their walls. Okay. This one is nice and round though. I think next I might work on an oval Easter wreath. I always avoid the oval ones. I think just because I don't use them often enough, I just feel like it always takes me a little longer. But it's getting to be about that time that we have to start getting our shops filled with Easter stuff. Okay. All right, so this is pretty polished off. And if you have any leaves in them, you just want to make sure that you're taking those out, because if stuff is already like decomposing and you try and glue in it, then there's nothing to hold it in. So you just want to take a minute. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be, you know, you just don't want a whole clump of leaves somewhere. All right. Now we're going to make a hook. And for the hook, I use this grapevine wire, and I can't find it. And it's either because it is one of these pieces or because what did I do with it? Because I lost it. Here it is. See, I was so excited about the pot that I don't think I really planned this out well. Okay, so once we have our wreath all cleaned up, we're gonna take one thick piece of grapevine that we're gonna hang it from. Okay, so I'm gonna take this piece right here, okay, and we're gonna slide this through, and then on the ends, we're just gonna twist it. It's pretty simple hook. And I like doing this that way if some, you know, when somebody opens up their order, they just already have like a way to hang it. Okay, and then because this disappears so quickly, like you can see, it looks exactly like grapevine. I'm just gonna mark it with a little bow. All right. And that way it's kind of like the North Star, so we always know what the top of our wreath is, okay? So our girl is ready enough that we can start cooking with her. We are going to start with our ficus, and we're going to start just laying the parameters of our wreath. Okay, so here we go. So as always, I am going to start in the top corner, like so. And then I'm going to repeat. Beauty of OCD, you do something once, there's a good chance you're going to do it again. And I like that because it creates just a natural balance while you're designing. Hey Dorothy, I'm glad you found me. Found us, thank you. I've been loving YouTube Lives lately, they've been fun. Like crafting with friends when I happen to come across people. And I know Connie, so that's very cool that you're on, Connie. Okay, and then before we go any further, we're gonna put our bow on. So this bow's pretty big. So well, it's not pretty big, it is very big. So I'm just gonna attach this using the wire. I'm just gonna feed this through. Sometimes I put my bows on floral picks if I feel like they're gonna get a little lost. But I don't think this bow could get lost. I don't think that's possible. So for background greenery, I always start with ficus, and part of it is it's a lot for the money. Each Each stem is about 97 cents, and you get 4 pieces once you cut it up. So that's always how I start, and I like to set the parameters of just how far I'm going to build out. So we're doing a crescent wreath, so it means like the one-sided wreath. So I've just started laying out, okay, this is as tall as it's going to go. This is pretty much as wide as it's going to go. Right, and now I'm just getting this nice and tight on here, like so. And the video that we did last also had the same pink hydrangeas I'm going to use today, but again, I was very excited about my pink skillet, glue skillet, that I wanted to do a pink themed wreath. Okay, so once you have your bow up on your wreath, I like to dovetail. So for dovetailing, what you're doing is you're going to fold it in half, and you're going to cut at an upward angle without losing a finger. Okay, that's very important. Let's see. All right. And for floral picks, I use, like, they have wire on them, just to answer your question, but the wire on them is very thin. It's really, those are made for live flowers. So I always count on my own wire. So like it'll come with this little copper wire, but that's really not going to hold anything. So I then take this, or I would take the wire that's already on the back of that bow, and I would just wrap it around here. It doesn't matter if you use this or not. It's not really going to be helpful in this scenario. All right, so we're going to be going with these pinks. I almost don't know if this bow matches. Do you guys think this bow matches? I kind of think it doesn't. Let's see. Somebody give me a yay or nay. Should we swap out the bow to go with these? I think so. I think it's gonna bug me if I don't. So I'm gonna save this bow for an Easter wreath. And let's see what else we can use. I have been going crazy with ribbon lately, and I'm not sorry about it at all. Let's see. All right, so I'm just gonna clip this, pull this off. All right. So we have a whole wall of ribbon. This is just what I keep out. This is kind of like my everyday stuff. Ooh, I think this one would be fun. Okay. So if you don't have a ribbon rack like these, they are so perfect. So like when I have my off-season wreath, ribbon, like all my Christmas ribbon, I do have one of those shoe racks. It's like it holds 50 shoes, and it's perfect for holding your ribbon that you're not using. But what I like about this is that I can see everything pretty much that's in season, and then I can make my choices from there. And also, if a client is asking for something custom, I get to snap a shot of what I actively have, and they can choose from there. So I think this is going to be cool. This is a funky ribbon, and I have not used it yet. This is a D. Stevens ribbon, which I think we all know D. Stevens is the bomb. So we're going to start with, maybe I'll just make this one a simple bow. Okay. Yeah, swap the bow. Okay, I know. I feel like if something irks me a little bit, it's probably not going to go away. So I like to just take care of it like in the moment. So I'm going to just make a really easy bow. I call this the 10 by 10, and it's because we're always measuring in 10 inches. So what we're going to do is flat side down, or back side down, I mean. We're going to measure 10 inches I'm going to get my wire ready. All right. Get that right there. Okay, so I'm going to measure 10 inches, and then I'm going to pinch this. You could like say pinch or pleat. Okay, and then I'm going to lay it back down on the ruler 10 inches, and I'm going to bring this behind. Okay, and then I'm going to pinch. Now we're going to twist. We always want the back side of the ribbon to be what's on the ruler. So we're going to measure 10 inches, and then we're going to bring it up. And I feel like bow making, it can be a lot to try and like follow other people's instructions. I really struggled with it. Okay, so we're going to do one last loop of 10 and 10. Okay, and then I want to have an extra set of tails. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make one big loop. And cut. Okay. So Dorothy, you are going to see me put this on a floral pick because this is a smaller bow and I don't want it to get lost next to those big hydrangeas that we're going to be using. So on the back of my bow, we have the wire. And I'm just going to take it and start twisting it around. I am like tongue-tied, and I don't know if it's because I had too much caffeine. That is a symptom of too much caffeine, is like tongue-tied. So sorry about that, guys. Yesterday it was like dogs barking and being crazy, and today I'm just stumbling over my words. Okay, so right now we have this nice and secure. I always like to hide the mechanics of everything. I think it just keeps it nice and natural. So I'm going to use this floral tape. And floral tape, it's not like an adhesive. It's just really tacky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just keep turning our pick so that I'm covering up that wire and it just looks more like a natural green than seeing all the wire. Okay, and just pulls right off. Okay, so now using my new girl, which I have to name her. So this is my new Surebonder. My old Surebonder skillet still works great, but this one is pink and it's almost like girl math the way I justified it. So we are going to add our bow right here. And it's okay that the back of that pick is sticking out. And now we're going to dovetail. So again, without losing a finger, we're going to cut up at an angle. We're going to cut up at an angle. And then this big loop that we made for a tail, I'm going to cut this in half. And continue with the dovetailing. So every tail has that nice polished look to it. All right. And for this, I like to have 2 loops out, 1 loop in, and then the other 2 tails are in as well. Okay. So these hydrangeas are from Michael's. I wanted to do something today that wasn't really based with a lot of wholesale products. These are things that a lot of us can access. So these are from Michael's. I went on Michael's site today and they have this huge offer. This is not sponsored. I'm just wanted to share it with people. If you get a lot of like their big hydrangea blooms, not these, unfortunately, no, yes, these. They are buy 2, get 3 free. So I bought like 300 of them. There's a cotton candy, there's this magenta, blue. The white was not on sale, so I skipped that, but it is a really good deal. And I've never seen them do that before. I don't know why they're so inexpensive, but I've seen them in person and they're beautiful. So you can get like lavender too. I feel like that is a sale you do not want to pass up. There's so many things you can do with hydrangeas. All right, so I'm going to clip these at about 4 inches. And I'm probably not going to need that much, but what I want to do is just make sure that there's excess. And we're going to trim the back at the end. Okay. And we have someone from California. Hey. I don't know what the OnlyFans thing is about. There go the dogs. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip this in the glue. And then I'm going to put this in. So I want this to be like nestled, but not like squished in. Okay, so like a respectful nuzzling is what I think. So, and then we're going to repeat. Okay, we're going to dip it in our glue. And repeat. Okay. All right, so now we have just the basics of our wreath. Okay. Let's see. Thank you, Lexi. She's liking it so far. Good. So I was thinking of doing like some bright colors with this. Of course, I didn't know we were using this bow. But I think like purple would still look nice. I pulled a whole bunch of stuff. Let's see. All right, so I always like to layer my greenery. I think that that makes the difference between a wreath that's expensive looking or versus like manufactured. So we're gonna use a couple different types. This is from Pioneer. I didn't really have any Michael's greenery on hand. So what's good about these bushes is that you can push them up. And that way you can kind of have as much impact or as much airiness as you want. You don't want to like go crazy pushing things up and pop the heads off because then you got to glue it back on. So I know us Wreathmakers can be strong, but just try and contain yourselves when we're doing this, okay? All right, so now I'm going to go through and I'm going to clip all these. Let's see. Dorothy, I don't know if it's only online, the deal at Michael's. And I do think it said like it was only for 2 days. So I would definitely take a look. And I don't know if it was for other flowers too. It was like a mix and match thing. But I have spring workshops coming up. And I'm using, like all the people attending can either use lavender, cotton candy pink, or white. So I definitely stocked up on those because that is, you're not going to find pricing like that again, I don't think. So and I can show you what one of them looks like. This is the cotton candy. And it's super pretty. It's good quality, like the foliage. So, and it's a good size. Like to get this for like $3, I think it's about $3 and some change. I think that's a really good deal. So I do encourage people to take advantage of it while you can. All right, so now we're going to start going in with some of our filler green. Okay, so I'm just going to dip it in our glue. Start filling in some of these bare areas. The reason why I like the glue pan so much is because it is hands-free designing. I don't know if anybody watching also has a glue pan, but it is such a game changer. It's just, and the other benefit of using something like this is you're using high temp glue. So if you're designing for somebody who has a lot of really heavy direct sunlight, sometimes the sun can actually eat away at the glue and then everything kind of melts and falls off. When you're using a high temp product, that's very unlikely to happen. So you want to use a high temp tool and then make sure that you're also using high temp glue. So for my glue gun, I use Gorilla Glue, and then for this, I use the Surebonder pellets. You can get them in like 1 pound packs or 5 pound packs. Let's see, I'm gonna put a little something behind the bow. see. I've just totally changed gears, so let me just think about this. We have these cosmos. And we have these cabbage roses. I think I'm going to start with the cabbage roses. So these are from Pioneer. And these are like my tried and true flower. They're always beautiful. They're always great quality. And I haven't seen anyone else that sells them this nice. And they kind of look like peonies too. So if you have clients who love peonies, these also fit the bill pretty well. Okay. Oh, thanks, Brittany. Brittany says this is going to come out good. I hope so. Let's see. So I'm going to space this out a little. I have one going up. And then whenever I'm working on the ends, I always like there to be a lot of like visual interest and cascading. So basically like it goes from like larger flowers to then it tapers off. And I'm definitely leaving the stems too long, but we are going to address that in the end when we do our polishing. So yep, if I have something where I don't like the foliage, I always pull it off because it just makes things look cheap. But this is natural looking. And Connie, if you're on, I know you love these flowers. Connie has some of these flowers. Let's see. Hey. Oh, there's Connie, right on cue. You love cabbage roses. And I know you love this color too. In this color, actually. So I did order more of the mulberry today. So they should be here next week. So we can decide then if you want to use these big ones or if you want to stick with the small ones. But yeah, I was actually going to update you on that. All right, so now I'm just going to go back and start with my filler greens. I always like there to be a lot around the bow so that the bow is like supported and separated. So usually I'll tuck something in between, like if I use a big bloom, which I often do, I want to make sure that I have a piece of greenery in between, giving them a little separation. All right, got one more piece left. And I think we'll use it up top. So there is something that I've learned when you're working really close to your design, you miss a lot. So for me, I just took a step back. And so I just realized that like the bottom of this it doesn't have all the height that this does. So that just lets me know that I need to like go back with the greenery and maybe add some more ficus to give it that same height. When I do workshops too, I always have people like take a good step back or have like a friend hold it just so you can really see like where it's at. And then you know what areas to focus on. All right. Go under. So. And also going to put one up top. And I'm bending this to match the curve of the wreath. All of these products are super durable. So if you bend them and you bend them back, like they're not going to break. Wreath making is not a very delicate craft. So you can be rough with your materials and they'll be fine. And even if you did break something, you can always like glue things back together, put them back on stems, all that good stuff. So what I did want to do is add some of these Queen Anne's lace, also from Michael's. So whenever I have gone to the store to get some of these, they are like ravaged. I don't know what happens to them, but this one's actually missing a head. But everything else I've received, they all have like the heads on them and they're not crushed. So the way around that is to just order direct. They do sell these in bulk, which you don't have to be a business to buy in bulk from Michael's. So you get a set of 12, and they're at a lesser cost. So I think maybe they're like $5 or so. But they come as they're meant to be. They're not, the heads aren't off, and they're not completely smushed. Because they make my favorite Queen Anne's lace, and it bums me out when I can't find good ones. So we're going to put a little pop of this chartreuse green. All right, let's see. And I'm going to start up here. Starting up top is just, I think it's part of muscle memory. So like I talk about having a recipe that you always do. So for me, like the workshops that I do, I have a recipe so that it can be done fairly quickly if needed, or it's just easy to follow. So like when I put out my ficus first, I do that with almost every single thing. Even if it's a full wreath, I start there and I just like lay the groundwork. Okay. I feel like light and airy these are. It's so pretty. All right. I have one pointed up. And then I'm going to tilt the head. So when you see how flowers grow in nature, things don't just grow like up and down. So I think it's always like a nice little natural touch to just kind of like give the head a little tilt. Got some glue hairs going on here. They're so annoying. And I have one more of these left, so we're gonna go top corner. And if you should drop any glue onto whether it's a flower or your bow, you're better off to just let it dry. If you go and you smudge it, there's a good chance that it's gonna just damage it. But if you just let it dry, usually it's like thick enough that you can actually just like peel it off. Okay. Now we're on to the fun part. I wanted to do some dark stuff in there, and I love these orchids. So like, do you guys like this? Do you like dark flowers and like dark berries? Do I like Michael's better than Hobby Lobby? The thing I like about Hobby Lobby is I find their quality can be better. Not across the board, but there's a lot of stuff that I feel like looks more natural. I can't handle the 1 week on, 1 week off with the sale, because if I should go in and it's not on sale, there's no way I'm going to buy any flowers. So I don't know why they do that. I think it's just silly because you know you're just going to wait a week. So, and Michael's is closer to me. My daughter worked at Michael's for a year or two, and I loved her discount. I was so sad when she decided that college was more important. I was like, kids are so rude. But anyways, I digress. So what we're going to do is we're going to slide this right in here. See, this is coming along because I just pulled a bunch of things and I actually didn't know what we were going to make. And if you were on in the beginning, I had a totally different bow, totally different vibe. So this is why I think it's fun to just like be able to design freestyle versus, you know, when you have to keep filling the same order. If you are a seller and you have something that sells frequently, you definitely want to keep making it. Like I have days that I call multiple days. And so what I do is I make the same wreath. I'll make like 5 of them. And that way I have them, you know, all ready to go so that I can have, you know, 1 to 2 days shipping available. It's not the most exciting, but it is, you know, what keeps the lights on. So I would encourage you that if you have a multiple that sells, just make sure you keep it going, because Etsy already knows that when you make money, they make money. So if you have a good track record of something, then they're going to keep putting it to the top of the algorithm. So I have a wreath that it's pretty basic. It's simple, but it's sold over 200 times. So it's much more likely to come up in the Etsy feed just because it's already proven that it's going to sell. All right. We've taken a dark turn here, and I'm not mad about it. I do have to move this cabbage rose, though. And I also have to add a little more ficus. So we set parameters. We don't always stay within them. That's okay. It's just a guide. Just a helpful guide. Let's see. Thanks, Brittany. She says I'm doing a great job. I think I'm back on track. I got a little lost for a second there. All right, we're gonna go in with ruscus. So this is from Pioneer. I love this. I don't love a lot of plastic greenery. However, like when you're looking at this, it's got different shading to it. It's got some variegation, and these are also ones that you can push up. So these have like a nice airy feel. Or to keep with the Michael's theme, or I have these. I love these, but no, I'm going to stick with the ruscus. Okay. So yes, so these are about like $5 a piece, and I think that they just have such a nice impact on creating like that airy, natural look. So just cut these. Okay. And I'm going to be doing a workshop tour soon. I have to just record it when it's like, when there's good lighting. Because like this part of my workshop is always super clean. And the other side, like there's like an unfinished part of my basement. Everything's neat, but there's like a ton of stuff. Like there's probably like 40 bins of stuff. That's where the extra ribbon rack is. So I just like my space to be like just neat and organized. So I don't like having too much stuff out here. It just like stresses me out. So again, OCD. All right. Connie loves the dark colors. Yes, I'm just like, these orchids specifically, I am just so drawn to whenever I see them. Because they're dark, but they're just so beautiful. So I'm starting in the top corner, like I always do. And then we're going to go underneath and repeat. And I like things that kind of come out of unexpected places. Again, like thinking of how things grow naturally, like that to me is like natural and like vine, like a crawling vine. And I like that look. Enchanted vines, crawling vines. There's the theme here, I think. All right. So you always want to make sure that when you are putting your stem in that it absolutely goes through the grapevine. I don't trust anything like just, not that you'd put it here, but like laying something on and gluing it, I don't trust. You know, here in New England, we get pretty erratic weather. And I don't know about you, but I don't take my wreath in and my wreaths aren't covered. So I want to make sure that I'm making something that is going to last. Again, we have like this cascading effect at the end. So pretty. I'm going to put some more around the bow. I think I need to turn this up. I think that's why there's so many glue hairs. One here. And then we're going to put one underneath the bow. See, so we're just layering all these different styles of greenery, and it just creates like that visual interest. We've got one more, so I think I'm going to put it right here. There's nothing really behind this hydrangea. Okay, and then I pulled a bunch of random florals. I know I complained about having too much caffeine and then I'm drinking tea, but all right, so I think all of these are like, they'd all do really well, and maybe we'll use them all. So the wax flower is from Hobby Lobby, and this is totally natural. Like if you've seen natural boxwood, it's got that like woody stem. Well, there's like little spikes on it. Let's cut this up to 3 pieces. Do I have wreath makers on here? If so, I'd love to know. Let's see how much. So the cost of my wreaths, it all depends on what the materials cost. So what I do is, I know right now I'm just like throwing things on the floor, but normally when I'm doing things in an organized way, what I do is I keep all the tags separate, and then when I'm done, I take all the tags and I add them up, and then everybody has a formula. Like some people do it by time, some people do it by multiplying how much the supplies were. So I just do a multiplying, unless something takes me like a really long time, or if it's a custom order that, you know, I had to do a lot of like research for and I had to drive around everywhere, I might charge more for my time there. So I don't know if anybody here already has a coaching group, but I am in Julie Samako's coaching group, and she is like the Etsy guru. Like I know about Etsy, but she stays like 100% on top of like everything new that they're doing. So she's kind of where I get most of my information about Etsy. So if ever you were interested, she does like a Wreath Makers of the Month club for people who are learning. And then ours is called the Success Circle. So it's for people who are already selling. They're not looking necessarily for to be taught. They're just looking for, you know, how to get their things out there and get them sold. So, and she's with Southern Charm Wreaths. I love these things. I don't know if these are like billy buttons or some type of just palm, but they're small, but they have a lot of impact. So we've got 4 to work with. So let's make it count. Start at the top. I don't want this too close to the orchid, only because they are pretty similar in color. So let me just adjust. And does anybody use a skillet, or are you using a glue gun when you're working? Because I'd love to know your take on the skillet. It's just been like such a game changer for me. I will say, if the glue hits me, I swear like a truck driver. It is hot. Hot, hot, hot. It's supposed to be, but you have to be like super cautious. And I would never do it like in sandals. I think that's just begging for it, because, you know, sometimes when I'm waiting too long to do something, of course glue is going to drip. Okay. These dogs, they're going to be the death of me. Yesterday, my mom's dog was here, and she just made everything just even more chaotic. She's got that puppy energy and those puppy zoomies. All right. Carolyn knows Julie. Yep, absolutely. Someone's in Brazil. Oh, that's cool. Connie also has a Surebonder, and she loves it. Absolutely. And I was on their website, and they have like so many things that I didn't even know existed. They have glue guns that have like a battery pack on them, almost like an electric, not an electric, but a power drill. So for mine, like mine's cordless. So it's easy to use, but like after so long, you have to put it back on the stand so it can heat back up. So I think I might invest in one of those that you don't have to put back on the charger. Again, didn't know. Didn't know those existed, but that's really cool. All right, so this is from Hobby Lobby. Yeah, I think it's fun to like design with some things that everybody can access. I know somebody was saying that they're in, I think it was someone named Harris, was in Canada, and they don't have, he didn't have a whole lot of access. So for him, I recommended Craft Outlet. So let's break this up. Let's just get the most out of it. So each piece I'm going to cut in two. And this is going to shock you, but I'm going to start in the top corner again. Okay. Flexing that muscle memory. And if you do, if you should subscribe to this channel, there are like little, I don't know, challenges I do where like I have to design something in under 20 minutes. And so when I do that, that's like a perfect example of the importance of muscle memory and just like having something down pat. Because say your orders are piling up, or maybe you're doing like a craft show and you need to get inventory, it's just a really good way to do it is have something that you can just whip up. All right, now we're going to repeat this. Okay, get the sticker off. Stickers don't look very natural. Let's see. Hey, Sonali. I am like blind as a bat, so if ever I miss a comment or I do not say hi back, just know it's just because I'm visually impaired. All right, let's put some of these berries right at the end, and we're going to give them a nice bend so that they're going with the curve of our wreath. So this wreath took a totally different turn than what I had envisioned. And I am really happy with it. All right, so I'm going to step back now and let's just see where our deficit areas are. So like this is kind of a fun game. So like what area is needing more attention or is off balance? I'll give you a moment to guess. If you guessed here, then yes, you are 100% correct. So you see all the detail I put in up here? It's all lacking down here. And maybe that's because I'm standing too close to it, or it just, I wasn't focused on it, but that needs to be addressed big time. So let me get another Queen Anne's lace. Oh, remember before I said one was actually missing the head? So I actually just found the head. So redemption for Michaels. Everything came with a head. So once the head's popped off once, I don't trust it to not pop off again. So I'm always going to add just like a little glob of glue before using it. So I'm just going to take I think I just got rid of the wrong part. Did I or didn't I? Okay, it's gonna go right here. So I'm gonna just take my glue pot and I'm just gonna very lightly dip this stem in without my finger going in. And then I'm just gonna slide this on, okay? Customers would be really disappointed if they open up like this beautiful wreath and then things start to fall off. And then also, of course, like who knows what happens to things when they get shipped. So you just want to make sure that everything's nice and secure. We need a little more color here. All right, this one's cut short, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a floral pick and just reattach it. And this is why I'm saying, like, it's really hard to damage something to the point that you can't use it, because there's so many tricks just to fix things. Get them exactly how you want them. Started making wreaths 4 years ago. Awesome. You like the repeating. Somebody recently opened a wreath shop. That's awesome. And they have a Surebonder, but they haven't used it yet. Oh my gosh, you are going to be so pleasantly surprised. I don't have a pick machine. I was actually thinking about that earlier. I might get one. I know they're a little bit pricey, but it also seems like a hands-free thing where you don't have to like take all this time to put something on a pick. All right, we still are off balance here. I need to figure out why. I think maybe some more ficus will help. Let's see. Just feels like something's missing here. Okay, now I'm feeling better about the whole thing. And it goes up. And we adjust this ficus a little bit, so we've got a little point going here. And then I'll add one more. So even though we're doing things in pairing, there's always like that tweaking to be done at the end. All right, I think she's done. What do you guys think? Let's see. All right, so even though the front of our look's done, when we flip this over, you're gonna see all of these stems and floral picks, and you can see that the parts that are sticking out are where I dipped it in the glue. So if I just snip this off, then essentially I've taken away what's securing it. So we first need to trim all the stems, and then we're gonna go back in with the glue gun and make sure that everything is super secure. Now I'm gonna be putting moss over this. Sometimes people just take unwanted foliage and they glue it on. That works too. Just think, so many people give wreaths as housewarming gifts, and God forbid, like, a brand new door gets scratched. They would be cursing me. So for your wreath shop, is it like a physical site or is it an Etsy? How is your setup? For me, I do e-commerce, so I do Etsy. I have a direct shop, like a direct site. But I don't sell, like, I don't have a brick and mortar. I think that would be pretty exciting, though. It's a lot on here sticking out. Okay. All right, now we're gonna go in with our moss and our glue gun. So like I have some must-have things on my workbench, and one of them is having the moss. Oh, thanks guys. I'm liking it. So I use dried moss for the backs of my wreaths, and then for arrangements I use the Spanish moss. So we are going to get ready with another glue stick because we're gonna need it. But we're going to use our Surebonder cordless glue gun. I'm using Gorilla Glue sticks for this. And what I'm going to do is I'm just giving things a little bit of time to cool. You definitely do not want to be attaching this right after you put the glue on because you're going to burn your hand. And when you're working with like high temp things, your skin just like instantly blisters. So you just want to be cautious when you're doing this. And then I end up laying it flat on a table so that then it kind of gets a little more smushed. All right. Go. These are like all the details I think that people appreciate, and this is kind of how you show your expertise in things because you're thinking everything through. Okay, so we're going to go through with the rest of our moss. Put it there. Okay. Okay. So what normally I would do at this point is I take just a regular hair dryer and I go through and I like blow dry all the glue hairs off that I can. There's always going to be some. I feel like you need really natural lighting to like catch all the glue hairs, but you definitely need to get them off before, especially if you're selling. So what I do is I go through here, and what happens is a lot of the glue, when you put heat on it, it just kind of goes like, and it like clearly attaches to your product. So it's an easier way to deal with the glue strands. And then the final step is always this Krylon spray. And oh, you have an Etsy shop. Awesome. I feel like Etsy is just so great at bringing traffic and helping out small business owners. So congratulations on your shop. I think that's awesome. All right. So this Krylon spray, what I do is I am going to spray this outside because it's spray paint. It's got fumes, all that good stuff. Not good stuff, but you know what I mean. For a good like 30 to 40 seconds, especially the greenery. Greenery, when it gets too much sun, it turns blue and then it automatically just looks super artificial. So I always like to be heavy on the greenery. You can put it on the bow as well. So this is sold at Michael's. It's not on their website for some reason. They have a couple other kinds, like one is matte and one is crystal clear. But this is made for florals. So I did link this in my on my link tree. That's the right word. I did find it on Amazon, but on Amazon this is $15. And if you went to Michael's, it's $12 before a coupon. So it's definitely less expensive to get it at Michael's. But if for some reason, if you're not near a Michael's or you can't access it, then they do have it on Amazon. I also linked a lot of the tools that I use because I got a lot of questions about, you know, like what type of glue and all sorts of stuff, like things that are in my workshop. So if you want to take a minute, you can kind of like shop through or just browse through like some of the things that are here. If it's not the exact product, I always explain that. There's like a little, you know, space for me to just say why I love it so much. So, all right, this should be sprayed for everybody. And if you're just making things for your own home, I think this goes on arrangements as well. You know, it's just like sunscreen in the car. You may not think you're getting sun exposure, but you are to some degree. So I have wreaths that last like 4 or 5 years, and the only reason why I get rid of them is because I'm just like tired of the design, not because they've faded and fallen apart. So I absolutely swear by this. It's such a great investment. All right, so this was our maiden voyage with this beautiful glue pot. This is the terrible mess that I'll have to clean. Oh, wow. And I think I'm going to hop over to YouTube and just do a live while I'm already like in the zone. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy this content, please subscribe. It's really not about the numbers. It just really lets me know that the content is helpful. And if ever you have any questions or you want to see a tutorial on something specific, just let me know because basically you're coming up with the ideas for me. So I appreciate it. All right. I hope everybody has a great night and you stay warm.